So Antonio Conte has added to the spice, which will be Serie A next season. We've already got Thiago Motta moving to Juventus. We've then got Italiano leaving Fiorentina to go to Bologna. We've then potentially got Fonseca going to AC. We've got the champions Inter Milan that are not as strong potentially next season. They might have to sell a few players. You've then got Europa League winners Gasparini's Atalanta going into the mix. Will Roma under De Rossi get better? Who knows? But you're potentially a 6-team title race. And I do think Napoli, who have not got European football either, that will suit them down to the ground. There is a few players in this team that will absolutely cook in a Conte 3-4-3. We're going to go into it. As always, Patreons, the tactic is available for you to download right now. Link in the description if you want to support me and the channel. £3 a month. Get all the tactical downloads for future downloads, and all the past ones are all right there for you to download. If not, don't worry. I'm going to go through all the team and player instructions right now. Okay, let's dive in. So we have played, I think we're halfway through the season. Yeah, we're just over. We've played 20 games. We're in second place, so pretty good. The tactic itself, because it's a 3-4-3, it's not a high press, it's not super attacking. It's not going to do absolutely crazy numbers. However, that is Antonio Conte. You're not going to get the best style. You're going to get physical presence. We're looking for wing-backs, obviously. So at Juventus, he was more of a 3-5-2. He then went to, I think, the international squad, Italy. I think that was more of a 3-5-2. He then went down the line of a 3-4-3 at Chelsea using the wide players such as, I think it was maybe Pedro on the right, was it? It was definitely Hazard on the left, maybe Pedro on the right, or maybe Willian on the right. Victor Moses, remember, coming at right wing back. He then moved to Inter and very much went down the route of a 3-5-2 because he had that formidable partnership of Lukaku and Martinez. Quite an attacking team, actually, because they had players like Barella in there, Brozovic, more of a midfielder, but he did have Eriksen sometimes sitting at the base of the midfield. Obviously, really aggressive wing-backs in Hakimi, so that was quite an attacking side. He then came to Spurs, and it was along the lines of a 3-4-3 with Sonny, Kulusevski out wide, and Osimhen. So we're trying to mix it all together. Now, the Napoli squad, they have been linked to Lukaku. However, I do think that is probably in replacement of Osimhen. So what I have done is we've gone with a 3-4-3. I have made a couple of signings that just to bolster the squad a little bit. Obviously, looks like they need a centre-half. So I have gone for this guy. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. I'm going to do it. Biongiorno. Let me know down in the comments how terrible that was. He's currently linked to Napoli at Torino. Højbjerg as well, to give us a little bit of squad depth, linked as well with the club. And then on the right-hand side, we needed a new right wing-back, not to replace Di Lorenzo, because he's fantastic, even though he doesn't quite suit. Does he suit? He maybe does. He said he's a wing-back on defence, but he has got good pace, so he could probably do the attacking role. And then we've gone just as a little bit of a backup. I call him Saelemaekers, who is on loan at Bologna the season just gone, and I thought that potentially might be a signing they do. He does like attacking wingers.
I like to have player that in the past was winger, because in this way they are good also in 1v1. Yeah.
All right, so that's why I brought him in. Obviously, as I said, he likes to turn, he's had Perisic turn into it, Victor Moses turn into it. Interesting what he might do with some other players in the squad. Does he turn players like Politano into a wing-back? Probably not. There's players like Gaetano as well. All can maybe do a really attacking wing-back role. Okay, so what we're looking at is a mid-block, pace on the break, not so much of a counter-pressing side, not so much of a regroup. We've left that off, but can we squeeze in nice and narrow? Play a little bit direct, but not overly direct. We're going to see Osimhen linking the play and Kvaratskhelia obviously getting in behind as much as possible. And we're trying to make this the 3-2-5. It absolutely looks wonderful, set out perfectly. The two wing-backs getting extremely high. The two wider players, attacking players coming in a little bit. Obviously, Kvaratskhelia has good numbers, 19 goals already this season. He could have been maybe an inverted winger, but we've gone inside forward just so we could get those numbers from him. Okay, this is how we've put it together. So Mere, the goalkeeper, sweeper keeper on support. He's not overly massive on. They like to build out from the back, yes, because they should generally have an overload with that 3 centre-backs, but he doesn't ask his goalkeepers to be too risky, too attacking, too creative. It's very much just a support role for that. So sweeper keeper on support. If you wanted to as well, you could probably put that on sweeper keeper on defend. Two wide centre-backs now. Depending on what centre-backs he had, obviously he's had Bastoni at Inter. Ben Davies actually did quite well on the left-hand side. So I've gone wide centre-backs on defend for both roles on the outside. Don't often, we're not looking for a Mickey van der Ven getting in there. We're not asking, Bastoni has become more progressive under Inzaghi rather than Conte. So I've just gone for both of them, wide centre-backs on defend and no player instructions for them. The ball player in the centre, someone who's going to get on the ball, Eric Dyer at Spurs was, to be fair, decent at times because he's pretty decent on the ball, at dropping off and getting the ball and spraying balls out to these wing-backs. Ball-playing defender on cover. Now, the wing-backs, as we said, we want them to be aggressive as possible. You could even put them as complete wing-backs if you want. However, I just want them to focus on going high and wide. All right, we're talking Moses, Hakimi, Reguilon at Spurs had a good spell under him. And here, he's got two fantastic ones in Oliveira. He's also got Marco Rui on that left-hand side to do a little bit of cover. Di Lorenzo as well on this right-hand side. The double pivot. Now, the double pivot's an interesting one. I don't know if it's through bad choice. Obviously, at Inter, he had some fantastic players in terms of, in his Juventus days. But the latter ones, including Spurs and maybe this team, he doesn't ask a lot of his central midfielders in terms of real creativity. The real creativity comes from the front three and the width of those wing-backs. So what we've got is like the ball winner. He will absolutely love someone in N'Gisa. I don't think it will be a Volante role for N'Gisa, even though he's so good at that, guys. He was one of my favourite players on FM23. Centre midfield on attack, Volante on attack. However, he will want, because of the natural width and the attackingness of these two wing-backs, he will want to keep... I imagine he'll want to keep that double pivot in play. They've got a nice balance here. N'Gisa in there, and then it'll probably be Lobotka. I think Zielinski's leaving, so he'll be out on a free, and then Lobotka will be a nice double pivot alongside N'Gisa, the one who's going to maybe get on the ball a little bit, maybe get it off the centre-halves, and then playing in, maybe an Osimhen playing into his feet, and then maybe even playing in the wide guys. So a really nice double pivot in there. You could go Volante if you want. I haven't experimented with it. I think I just wanted to play through half the season. I think if you are doing, by all means, because we've got that on support, we could maybe go Volante on attack, because he would absolutely love that in N'Gisa, and have another box in the middle. But what he does like to do, Conte, is in that attacking sort of area, he will end up looking a bit like this. I can't shove them up there, look. But the wing-backs will move up, and then he will just have these in more of a supporting role, helpful in recycling possession. The wing-backs potentially would come in. So the wide centre-back would potentially come in. So possession looks a bit crazy, but it would look something like that, where the full-back comes in, supports the wing-back. The two inside forwards, your Sonnies, your Kuleveski's, will be looking at working on the inside channels. Your Hazard, with them working in those half spaces. The two wide full-backs giving the width, the two wide wing-backs giving the width, and then these two being much more of a recycling of possession. And then into the front three, I think with the wide players, as I said, I really wanted some numbers out of Kvaratskhelia. So I've got inside forward on attack. I do think it needs to be an attacking role. So it could even be, the Hazard's an interesting one, because you could have gone inverted winger on attack with tackle less, and what else could you probably put on? Roam from position. But I just wanted him to be a real threat. So no player instructions, just inside forward and attack. And then just to balance it up a little bit and to try and get Politano working in these little spaces here. Okay, and also, sorry, I forgot to mention as well, the two wing-backs, you need to put the player instruction of close down more. So into the player instructions there, you just need to go from that to that. Forgot to mention that. Okay, right-hand side, Politano. We've gone with, I think this is another player, an area where they may strengthen. I did start the save and Politano was transfer listed, so that might be an option that they might have to do. They have got someone called Cyril Ngonje. I'm not too familiar with him, I'm going to be honest. I don't know how good he actually is, whether he'll go into the transfer market. They've obviously got Raspadori, who I think would maybe work better off the left. They've got Simoni to play up front, but maybe the right-hand side. But what we're looking is this Pedro role at Chelsea, where he would often drift in. Victor Moses was more of the aggressor. So to allow that overlap as much as possible, allowing him to be on support and will naturally come in. I haven't put sit narrow on. I don't think that's needed, because that screenshot they had absolutely perfect positioning. So we don't need to do anything more than that. Just be wary though, if you do change the N'Gisa role to a Volante, just be careful of this one of what he then does because of the Ngissa moving in. I don't want that to be overcrowded. And then up front, Osimhen, complete forward on attack. It was more of a complete forward on support for Kane, but you're thinking Diego Costa at Chelsea, centre forward, complete forward on attack. Like, he comes in, he drifts off, he plays people in particular the two wide players, and he gets himself in the box. And how many goals he scored for me? 16 in 22. So he's not actually scored as many as Kvaratskhelia, but he's a mint box threat, balls into the box. We've taken off low crossing and stuff like that because he's a really good box threat. Will he go? I would love to see him stay and him sign Lukaku and him go down the route of a 3-5-2. Obviously, the Kvaratskhelia one would be then the issue, what you would do with Kvaratskhelia in a 3-5-2. Would you bring him inside? I think he loves a 1v1, doesn't he, out there? So I don't think that would work if they went with maybe a 3, like a 3-4, bring that Politano out, put Lukaku in, and then put Kvaratskhelia in here. I don't think that would work to Kvaratskelia's benefit, but if you think it does, let me know down in the comments. Right, team instructions. I've gone positive mentality just because at Spurs it was a little bit more defensive, but I think he'll fancy himself as one of the strong. If he gets a few transfers in, he'll fancy himself at being one of the strongest sides in the league. You know, the Conte, we're not after massive possession numbers. Our average possession is down in 13th, but we're still wanting to be positive when we got it. We get it. Obviously, we're dropping back into a mid-block, so it's going to be a little bit more defensive that way. When that happens and you go into a mid-block, often you're not going to get possession, in particular as well with the in-player instructions we've got. So, pass into space. Yes, we want to release Kvaratskhelia. We want to release the wide players. Osimhen sometimes comes in. Can we then hit over the top and get in those two wide players? Can we even play in Osimhen at times? So, pass into space. Yes, overlap left and right. We really want to encourage those two wide fullbacks, wing-backs to get round as much as possible. Slightly shorter, just so we can keep hold of the ball a little bit. It wasn't overly direct. It's not long ball. He does try and play a little bit, but the other side of that is with the creative freedom, we've put it to be more disciplined. It just sounds like Conte. Be more disciplined. We'll ask players to be part of focus of a robust and focused tactical shape in order to make the team a strong collective group. It may come at the expense of some individual expression, which just sounds like Conte. I think the word is autonomism. I could have butchered that. He likes to get same patterns in his build-up, so they would often work on the same patterns, so it then becomes automatic for the players to do. So it does sound like very much a be more disciplined side. Higher tempo, yes. Can we be forward-thinking with it? Can we move it quickly when we do have it? That will also help with that counter-attack. Remember the Spurs counter-attacks with Son, Kane and Kulusevski, especially at the games against Manchester City when they won a couple of times. I think even at the Etihad, absolutely fantastic on the break. So that higher tempo will help. In transition, counter-attack, yes, but no counter-press, not a massive counter-press inside. Distribution type, we're taking short kicks to the centre-backs. Out of possession, mid-block, standard line, nothing else. We've gone more often trigger press, but nothing else. You could maybe even go get stuck in. I've left everything blank, so it's nice and basic. Okay, a little bit different in terms of tactics and player instructions. Very rarely do we have be more disciplined. I am going to be doing a low block tactic. Remember I did that create a 3-5-2 or create a 4-4-2 the other week. So now I'm going to do a create a low block in FM. If you'd like to see that, let me know what shape you would like to see in a low block. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. Please smash the like on today's video. Next video will be Gasperini's Atalanta. We're also going to do an England tactic as well with the squad that Gareth's announced today, next week. And also my new Let's Play series is starting on the channel. I've given a couple of clues. We're heading to Brazil.